This changes everything. After months of rumors and speculations, CM Punk is finally back.
Home.
But what were the events that led to this moment? And what does this mean for the future of WWE? Let's talk about it. January 20th, 2014 was the last time we saw CM Punk step foot in a WWE ring before he infamously walked out of the company the week later. Now, this incident has been well documented and many have spoken about it throughout the years, including Punk himself. So, to give you a brief context, Punk was slated to face Cesaro, who now goes by Claudio Castagnoli in AEW, on the January 27, 2014 episode of Raw. But the match never materialized as Punk left the building before the show went live. Why, you ask? Well, for many reasons, of which including burnout, medical negligence by WWE doctors, and just a general resentment of how he was being booked at the time. Perhaps the best way to illustrate this was during an AEW media scrum in 2022 where he said the following.
I feel almost that the 10 years that I spent in WWE was wasted. I reached the potential that I could have given the limitations they constantly put on me.
Although it's debatable whether giving the main event of WrestleMania 28 to The Rock and John Cena instead of Punk and Jericho was the straw that broke the camel's back, it definitely contributed to his ballooning frustrations, which finally burst in 2014. And so, Punk was officially fired from the WWE shortly after walking out. But the story didn't stop there, oh no. Punk spoke about it on Colt Cabana's podcast the same year, where he revealed that he was fired on the day of his wedding.
That's insane.
A story that has been confirmed by Vince McMahon himself on Stone Cold's podcast. He did apologize to Punk.
Punk got his severance papers on the day he got married. So I want to personally apologize for that.
And the timing was probably just a coincidence, right? Punk would take a long hiatus from professional wrestling after this whole fiasco. But the CM Punk chants never wavered, showing just how much of a cult following the Voice of the Voiceless had built. Even WWE themselves had no choice but to acknowledge it at times.
Hey, look guys, I tried to get him here. I'm sorry. He didn't want to show up.
But aside from the small teases and his name being thrown around as a Royal Rumble surprise entrant every single year, there wasn't really any concrete sign of CM Punk returning to WWE until he made his shocking return in November 13th of 2019. Well, kinda. He appeared as a guest analyst on WWE Backstage, a show owned by Fox, so technically he was employed under them and not WWE. And it turned out to be really just that. His short stint on the show never materialized into an in-ring return, and it was radio silence again till AEW happened. But as history would show, that went as well as the Katie Vick angle. Horribly wrong. Real quick, we're trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so your subscription would really mean a lot. Thank you. Fast forward to Survivor Series 2023, the WWE return rumor mill was at its peak again after Punk's disgraceful firing in AEW. And with the event taking place at Punk's hometown of Chicago, many fans tuned in to see if it would finally happen. And throughout the show, the fans waited and waited and waited until it was time for the main event and still nothing. At that point, the only thing keeping the hope is them teasing that Randy Orton might not show up and CM Punk will be the quote-unquote last-minute replacement. But oh wait, no. Randy Orton did show up and it was a wonderful return. The good guys ended up winning the War Games match and we all thought that was it. But as the end credits shot rolled, we heard this. Triple H, the master of the end screen bait and switch, has done it again. Everyone and their mother erupted, and just like that, the prodigal son has returned. All it took was a failed UFC run, 2 backstage altercations in a rival promotion, and 17,138 people chanting his name. While this came as a shock to many fans, it was also shocking to the people within WWE, as Triple H revealed in the post-show press conference that Punk's return was kept very tight-lipped to even the higher-ups. And while most people reacted positively to his return, some weren't so thrilled about it, which leads to WWE's landscape has drastically changed since Punk left in 2014. The top stars we see today were either the beginning stages of their career or are still paying their dues in the independent circuit. And so, his return couldn't have come at a better time, as this gives us fans the chance to see the best version of the dream feuds that we otherwise never would have gotten. The first and most obvious one would be Seth frickin' Rollins. Not only has Rollins voiced his disdain for the Second City Saints several times before,
Philly Phil, stay away
Stay away, you cancer.
His recent work shoot outburst to Punk's return that went viral also perfectly sets up a feud between the two for the World Heavyweight Championship that could last until WrestleMania. And then you got the future promos. We all know CM Punk is at his best with the microphone on his hand. His fourth wall breaking realness when it comes to promos is why many people love him so much to begin with. So imagine the war of words we'll witness with guys like LA Knight or Kevin Owens. Speaking of promos, who could forget the legendary rivalry between John Cena and CM Punk in 2011? In a previous video, I mentioned Punk as one of the names who could retire John Cena, and for a good reason. Rekindling their old rivalry for one last time in today's context makes for some interesting dynamic, as the leader of the C Nation is not the same divisive figure he was back then. If Punk fully embraces being the bad guy in this hypothetical feud, then we're gonna see a very different fan reaction this time around. Plus, maybe he can squeeze out one more 5-star banger with John before he rides off into the sunset. But perhaps the most interesting prospect of them all is CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. It's crazy to think that not even a month into his return, and reports of internal discussions regarding Punk possibly facing Roman at this year's Mania have already surfaced online. Now, I don't think Punk should be the guy to dethrone Roman, no. That still is Cody's story to finish. But given how WWE seems to be planning to extend Roman's reign until WrestleMania 41 so he could beat Hogan's record, which would be a terrible idea by the way, Punk makes for a perfect big money match alternative for WrestleMania 40 if The Rock won't be available in time. But regardless of which direction WWE will go with CM Punk, what's important is that he keeps a straight edge, pun intended, and not cause backstage drama, because this run might be his last chance at redemption. But what do you guys think of CM Punk's WWE return? Will he be an asset or a liability? And which superstars would you like to see him feud with in the future? Let me know in the comments below. Till the next video, peace.